Hello, today we'll be breaking down the opening scene for the pilot episode of Mr. Robot. We'll be going over the validity of the attack and any sort of remediations.
I like coming here because your Wi-Fi was fast. I mean, you're one of the few spots that has a fiber connection with gigabit speed. It's good. It's so good, it scratched that part of my mind. Part that doesn't allow good to exist without condition. So I started intercepting all the traffic on your network.
So here we see Elliot took advantage of the coffee shop's presumably free open Wi-Fi network. He started intercepting all the traffic on the network, so he probably used something like Wireshark to do this traffic interception. So a way for coffee shops to mitigate this is to not have an open Wi-Fi network, to have some sort of password protection or some sort of authentication like WPA2. Sure, this might have a business compromise with less people coming in for free Wi-Fi, but the benefits outweigh the cons. And one way to do this is to have paying customers get a temporary username and password on their receipt.
Called Plato's Boys.
Pardon me?
You're using Tor networking to keep the servers anonymous. You made it really hard for anyone to see it. But I saw it. The onion routing protocol, it's not as anonymous as you think it is. Whoever's in control of the exit nodes is also in control of the traffic, which makes me the one in control.
So here we see that Elliot tells Mr. Meta that he knows he runs a website called Plato's Boys. He probably discovered this web application on the coffee shop network by using tools like Wireshark, Nmap, Masscan, etc. So tools like Wireshark, or not Wireshark, Nmap are very noisy. So for any sort of applications on the coffee shop's network, such as in this case it's the web application, but in other cases it might be the POS sales transaction system that a coffee shop uses, which is also a pretty target for attackers. So to mitigate those, any sort of log collection which should notice these sort of noisy things, and have some sort of measure in place to ban IPs that are doing this, making these sort of web traffic. Elliot mentions Tor networking, which is a real thing. He did this thing called exit node eavesdropping because Tor cannot encrypt traffic from the exit node to its destination. So Tor does encrypt the traffic as it passes through the Tor network, but as it exits, it cannot encrypt it because it needs to get to its destination. So that's how Elliot was able to discover this website in the first place. So ways to mitigate, protect against exit node eavesdropping are actually listed on the Tor blog's website. Users can take steps here to protect themselves against Tor exit node eavesdropping. Given that the nature of web applications, they're most likely very vulnerable.
I own everything. Here. All your emails, all your files, all your pics.
Get out of here right now, or I'll call the
Police? And you want them to find out about the 100 terabytes of child pornography you served to your 400,000 users?
So due to the nature of this website being a web application, is most likely vulnerable. As you can see here, web applications are the highest attacked thing on networks. They're very vulnerable. The OWASP top 10 security risks, most of them do apply to web applications. So we can assume that Rohit's website was vulnerable to some of these vulnerabilities, and that Elliot exploited them to get access to the proof, all the pics, all the terabytes of proof that he serves to his users. So ways to mitigate this for coffee shops that want to protect their websites, their web applications on their network. You can sanitize SQL queries if you're using a SQL database. Basically sanitize any kind of untrusted data, any sort of user input, which would also mitigate against cross-site scripting. So web applications that sanitize user input would mitigate these sort of injection attacks. The website can also have a content security policy, which also mitigates against cross-site scripting and data injection attacks. And as for proof, data, that's stored on the server that was anonymized by Tor networking. Data on the server can be encrypted. You can also hide files in other files using this thing called LSB steganography. You can hide bits of your payload into bytes of a seemingly innocuous file. So this is a way that Mr. Meta could have evaded detection, which I do not condone, by the way. This is just for argument's sake, for mitigation, for coffee shops that want to protect their servers, their Wi-Fi networks. Yeah.